NASA just announced something that changes everything we thought we knew about where life comes from. Inside a tiny rock collected from deep space, a rock that has been drifting through the solar system for 4.5 billion years, scientists found something that should not be there. Something that, until this moment, we believed only existed on one single planet in the entire universe. Something alive. Or rather, the exact ingredients that life is built from, preserved in perfect condition, as if the universe itself had been quietly preparing the recipe for billions of years, waiting for us to find it. This is the story of NASA's OSIRIS-REx mission, the Asteroid Bennu, and the discovery that is forcing scientists to completely rewrite the origin of life on Earth. To understand why this discovery is so extraordinary, you need to understand what Asteroid Bennu actually is. Bennu is not just some random rock floating in space. It is one of the most ancient objects in our entire solar system. A relic from the very beginning, formed roughly 4.5 billion years ago, before the Earth even existed, before the oceans, before the first breath of any living creature. Bennu was already there, slowly spinning in the dark. For billions of years, this asteroid traveled through the solar system almost completely untouched, which is exactly what makes it so scientifically precious. While Earth's surface has been constantly reshaped by volcanoes, oceans, erosion, and plate tectonics, erasing most of the evidence of our planet's early chemistry, Bennu remained frozen in time, like a perfectly sealed time capsule. Scientists had suspected for decades that asteroids like Bennu might carry organic compounds, the chemical building blocks that life depends on. But there was always a problem. Every time a meteorite fell to Earth, it burned through the atmosphere, hit the ground, and got immediately contaminated by Earth's own chemistry. Rain, bacteria, oxygen, all of it would mix into the rock within hours or days, making it nearly impossible to know what was originally there and what came from Earth. This is precisely why NASA launched the OSIRIS-REx mission. The goal was simple in concept and almost impossible in execution. Fly a spacecraft to Asteroid Bennu, land on its surface, collect a pristine sample that had never touched Earth's atmosphere, and bring it home in a sealed capsule, like a sterile container shipped from the very birth of the solar system. The spacecraft launched in September 2016 and spent 2 years traveling to Bennu. When it finally arrived and got close enough to see the surface clearly, the mission team got their first major surprise. They had expected Bennu to be a smooth, sandy surface, easy to land on and collect samples from. Instead, what the cameras revealed was a landscape absolutely covered in massive boulders, some of them the size of buildings, making the entire landing attempt far more dangerous than anyone had planned for. But the OSIRIS-REx team did not turn back. In October 2020, after months of careful preparation and mapping the surface in extraordinary detail, the spacecraft made its move. It descended toward a small crater called Nightingale, extended its robotic sampling arm, and for exactly 5.5 seconds, that is all the time it had, it touched the surface and fired a burst of pressurized nitrogen gas to stir up rocks and dust, which were immediately collected into a sealed container. Those 5.5 seconds produced 121.6 grams of material. That might not sound like much. It weighs less than a baseball. But those 121 grams became the largest and most scientifically valuable asteroid sample ever collected in human history. On September 24, 2023, the sample return capsule separated from the spacecraft and fell through Earth's atmosphere, deploying parachutes and landing in the Utah desert exactly as planned. Scientists in hazmat suits rushed to the landing site, sealed the capsule immediately, and transported it to a special clean room facility at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston. From that moment, the analysis began, and what they found over the following months has stunned the entire scientific community. The first results from the Bennu sample were announced in June 2024, and they were already remarkable. The asteroid's dust was found to be extraordinarily rich in carbon and nitrogen, two of the most essential elements for life as we know it. Carbon is the backbone of every organic molecule in your body. Nitrogen is essential for DNA, proteins, and the basic machinery of every living cell. Finding both of them in such high concentrations on a pristine asteroid sample was already a major result. But there was more. The sample also contained something completely unexpected: magnesium sodium phosphate. This mineral had never been detected by the spacecraft's instruments while it was still at Bennu, which means it was invisible from orbit. But when scientists cracked open the sample and looked at it up close under a microscope, they found it coating tiny particles in a bright crust. And here is where things get genuinely mind-bending. Magnesium sodium phosphate is not a mineral that forms in dry space. It forms in liquid water, specifically in salty brines, the kind of water-rich environment that you find on ocean worlds. Its presence in the Bennu sample was direct chemical evidence that Bennu's parent body, the ancient larger world that Bennu broke off from billions of years ago, once had liquid water flowing through it. Real, salty, mineral-rich liquid water. The scientists described it as evidence that Bennu may have originated from a primitive ocean world, a small planet or large moon that existed in our early solar system and was later broken apart by collisions. Think about that for a moment. The rock you are looking at contains chemical traces of an ancient ocean from a world that no longer exists, a world that died billions of years before the first fish ever swam on Earth. And the clay minerals in the sample made it even clearer. The dominant material in Bennu's dust is serpentine clay, the exact same type of mineral that forms at mid-ocean ridges on Earth, where hydrothermal vents push hot, mineral-rich water up through the ocean floor. These are the same environments that some scientists believe gave rise to life on early Earth. The asteroid was mirroring our own ocean floor chemistry. Then came the announcements of January 2025, and this is where the OSIRIS-REx mission crossed into territory that nobody had fully anticipated. An international team of scientists led by researchers at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center published their detailed analysis in the journals Nature and Nature Astronomy, and the findings were extraordinary. Inside the Bennu sample, they found amino acids. Not one or two, 14 of the 20 amino acids that all living organisms on Earth use to build proteins. These are the molecules that form the physical structure of your muscles, your skin, your enzymes, and the machinery that runs every single cell in your body. 14 of those exact molecules, sitting inside a rock that has never touched Earth. But the scientists needed to rule out one critical possibility. Could these amino acids have gotten into the sample after it landed? Could contamination from Earth have snuck in somehow? This is where the analysis became truly elegant. Amino acids come in two mirror image versions. Scientists call them left-handed and right-handed. Life on Earth exclusively uses left-handed amino acids. It is one of the deepest and strangest mysteries in biology, this single-handed preference that all life shares. But in the Bennu sample, the amino acids existed in perfectly equal amounts of left and right-handed forms. A 50-50 split. That is the signature of chemistry that happened in the absence of life. Pure, abiotic, natural chemistry driven by physics and energy, not by biological selection. This was definitive proof that these amino acids formed in space, not on Earth. They were extraterrestrial, pristine, and billions of years old. Alongside the amino acids, the team also detected all 5 nucleobases, all 5 of the molecular letters that make up the genetic code stored in DNA and RNA. Every single one of them. Adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine, uracil. The complete alphabet of genetics found on a rock from space. The researchers also found abundant ammonia and a rich collection of nitrogen-based organic compounds, adding further depth to Bennu's extraordinary chemical library. The principal scientist on the mission, Dante Loretta of the University of Arizona, described Bennu's parent body as a rich, geologically complex world with multiple liquid systems operating in different places and at different times, each one driving its own unique chemistry. This was not a dead, simple rock. This was the remnant of an ancient world that was chemically active, wet, and brewing the ingredients of life long before our planet even formed. The analysis of the Bennu sample is still ongoing, and scientists believe there is still much more to discover. NASA considers the material so valuable that most of it is being preserved for future researchers, with technologies that do not yet exist. After delivering the sample to Earth, OSIRIS-REx continued its journey under a new name, OSIRIS-APEX, and is now heading toward the asteroid Apophis, which will make a close flyby of Earth in 2029. Japan's Hayabusa 2 mission also found amino acids in samples from the asteroid Ryugu. While the results were not identical to Bennu, the similarities between two independent missions are becoming difficult to ignore. The chemistry linked to life may not be rare at all. It may exist throughout the universe. Here's the thought I want to leave you with. For most of human history, when people looked up at the night sky, they saw something distant and separate, a cold, empty void that had nothing to do with the warm, living world beneath their feet. Space was the opposite of life. What OSIRIS-REx found inside Asteroid Bennu is a direct challenge to that assumption. The molecules that make up your proteins, the letters of your genetic code, the amino acids that build your brain and your body, their story did not begin on Earth. It began in space. It began in the chemistry of ancient ocean worlds that collapsed and scattered their contents across the solar system billions of years before you were born. You are, quite literally, made of an asteroid. The universe did not create life by accident on one small, lucky planet. It has been building the ingredients for life everywhere, for billions of years, waiting for the conditions to be right. Earth was just the place where those ingredients finally came together, combined, and became something that could look back up at the stars and wonder where it came from. Now, we are starting to find out. If this story made you think differently about life, about space, or about where we came from, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to go deeper on the stories that NASA is not putting in the headlines, subscribe, because we cover every discovery that makes you rethink everything.